Welcome to Life in Real Time with Lucia, the podcast where we capture the essence of raw, unfiltered conversations and where we will dive deep into the journey of life. No topic is off limits here, and things can get real, really real. This is your space for open, honest, and sometimes messy discussions about everything that life throws our way. The good, the bad, and the downright chaotic. Some episodes will be unscripted, where anything can happen, and others will be carefully crafted to explore thought-provoking themes. A fair warning, though, that this is rated adult, and yes, that means that the language might get a little colorful at times, but hey, that's life in real time, right? So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and join me on this unpredictable adventure through life's ups and downs, and everything in between. Let's keep it raw, keep it real, and above all, let's keep it honest. I'm Lucia, and this is Life in Real Time. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me again today. Before we begin, I want to offer a quick disclaimer. The thoughts I share today come from my own experiences, observations, and healing journey. This podcast is intended for reflection and personal growth and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice or therapy. My intention is not to criticize, blame, or point fingers at anyone. We all see life through our own experiences, beliefs, and understanding. Today's conversation is about being misunderstood, carrying labels, finding your own worth, and learning to stop defining yourself through other people's opinions. If any part of this conversation resonates with you, I encourage you to be gentle with yourself. Welcome back, everyone, to Life in Real Time with Lucia. Today, I want to talk about something that I'm sure many of us struggle with. Today, we're talking about being misunderstood. Have you ever felt like people decided who you were years ago and never updated the story? Like no matter how much you've grown, healed, learned, or changed, they still see an older version of you? Maybe they still see the teenager. Maybe they still see the person who made mistakes. Maybe they still see the emotional one, the sensitive one, the dreamer, the rebel, the black sheep. And no matter how much life you've lived since then, they continue looking at you through that same old lens. I think many of us know what that feels like. And if I'm being honest, I have felt that way for most of my life. One thing I've realized over the years is that people are very quick to judge what they can see, but they rarely stop to understand what they can't see. They see the choices you've made, they see where you've been, they see how your life looks from the outside, and from those few pieces, they create a story. But what they don't see are the battles you fought to get here. They don't see the nights you cried yourself to sleep. They don't see the heartbreak. They don't see the healing. They don't see the courage it took to start over. They don't see the moments when you had to choose yourself, even when it disappointed everyone around you. They only see the outcome. And sometimes that can be incredibly frustrating because people judge the chapter they walked into without reading the entire book. I think many people listening will relate to this. And I hear many people talk about this. Have you ever felt like you're the black sheep of your family? And it's not because you're a bad person, but because you were different. You know, you're that person who probably questioned things. You challenged things. You didn't always follow the path that others expected you to follow. You just wanted more. Or maybe you simply wanted something different. And for some families, different can be very uncomfortable. Because when one person begins questioning things, it forces everyone else to look at things differently too. And not everyone wants to do that. Sometimes families become comfortable with the roles they've assigned everyone. The responsible one, you have the successful one, you have the caretaker, the troublemaker, the sensitive one, the strong one, the weak one. And once those roles are assigned, they can be very difficult to break free from. One of the labels I've struggled with most is the idea that sensitivity somehow means weakness. I think many people have this belief that if you cry, you're weak. If you feel deeply, you're weak. If you're compassionate, you're weak. If you care too much, you're weak. But I've come to see things very, very differently because life has taught me something important. Feeling deeply is not a weakness. Loving deeply is not weakness. Having compassion is not weakness. Remaining kind after you've been hurt is not weakness. In fact, I think it takes tremendous strength because it's easy to become bitter. It's easy to build walls, easy to stop trusting, and it's easy to stop caring. But what's hard is keeping your heart open after life has given you every reason to close it. And that takes courage. When people look at someone who is emotional, they often assume that they're fragile. But what if they're wrong? What if the person they're calling weak has survived more than they could ever imagine? What if the person they're judging has rebuilt their life multiple times? What if the person they see as sensitive has actually shown incredible resilience? And I think that sometimes we confuse hardness with strength. But they're not the same thing. Some of the strongest people I know are incredibly gentle. They've just learned how to survive without losing themselves. And that's a different kind of strength. It's a quieter strength, a deeper strength, a strength that doesn't need to prove itself. This lesson took me years to learn, and to be exact, 53 flippin' years. For a long time, I wanted people to understand me. I wanted them to see my intentions. I wanted them to see my heart, my growth, my journey. I wanted them to understand why I made certain choices in my life. I also wanted them to see what I saw. But eventually, I realized something. Not everyone's going to understand you. And that's totally okay, because peace doesn't come from convincing everyone. Peace comes from accepting yourself. And the moment we stop needing everyone's approval is the moment we become truly free. But here's the question. What if they don't change their mind about you? It is a hard question. But there's also other questions. What if they never see your growth? What if they never acknowledge your healing? What if they never understand your journey? What if they never continue seeing you through the same old story? Would you still be able to love yourself? Would you still be able to honor your path? Would you still be able to recognize your own worth? Because maybe, just maybe, the lesson here isn't about changing their minds. Maybe the lesson is about finally changing the way you see yourself. As I've grown spiritually, I've come to understand something. That we spend so much time of our lives trying to be seen by other people, trying to be understood, trying to be validated, trying to prove our worth. But true peace comes when we stop looking outside ourselves for confirmation of who we are. Your value does not increase because someone finally understands you. And it does not decrease because they don't. Because you're still worthy, You are still enough, and you are still deserving of love, respect, and belonging, whether others recognize it or not. I want to leave you with something today, and maybe you've spent years trying to prove yourself to others just like I have. Trying to prove yourself or trying to prove you're strong enough to others. You've probably tried to do that. I know I have. Trying to prove that you're good enough, you're smart enough, you're worthy enough. Maybe you've spent years trying to convince people that there's more to you than the story that they've created in their minds. But what if your freedom begins the moment you stop trying to convince them? What if your freedom begins when you finally see yourself clearly? Not through their eyes, not through their labels, not through their expectations, but through your own truth. Because here's what I know. Weak people don't keep rebuilding their lives. Weak people don't survive heartbreak and continue loving. Weak people don't get knocked down again and again and continue getting back up. That's not weakness. That's resilience, that's courage, that's strength. And maybe it's time that you stop seeing yourself through the eyes of people who never truly understood your journey. I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for being a part of Life in Real Time with Lucia. And until next time, be gentle with yourself. Your sensitivity is not your weakness. It may very well be your greatest strength. Thanks for listening.